see that folks are here and coming in. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Thank you all for being with me. Let's go ahead and jump into it. Wow, this is the third installment of What Even? To which I'm kind of saying what even because I feel like this is the most consistently I've done any sort of creative project in a while. So shouts out to me for that. And also shouts out to you all for being here with me. You all make it really worthwhile in a really important way. Let's just start first by settling where you are. If you are standing, then allow your weight to sort of settle into the ground through your feet. If you're sitting, just allow your weight to settle into your chair. And just take a moment to close your eyes if you're able. And let's take 3 breaths, inhaling through our noses and exhaling through our mouths. So first, breathing in through our nose and exhaling through our mouths. Using each breath to settle more into your body and your space. Breathing in and breathing out. And one last time, breathing in and breathing out. And as you're ready, you can go ahead and open your eyes once more. So again, welcome everyone. This is What Even. If you haven't been here, What Even is a series of artist talks, allegedly, that I'm doing about work I've made since 2020. Today, we are going to talk about Trouble, which is a performance that happened first in 2023, March of 2023, and then again in March of 2024. In March 2023, Trouble was performed by myself along with Mark Gutierrez, Rushi Singh, Sam Wentz, and Devika Vikramasinghe. And then the following year, earlier this year, Trouble was at Outsider Fest in Austin, Texas. And that cast included Jana Collins, Cicely Fullylove, Erika Salcedo, and Mariah Small. So a whole team of people has helped this work really come to life, including someone who I want to give special thanks to, Simone Reynolds, who is a diviner and a cultural organizer who really helped me lay a foundation for this work. As we get started, I'd like to say that What's Even is both prologue and preparation for Congress. Congress is a performance that I'm doing at REDCAT as part of the New Original Works Festival 2024. We are performing in week 2 of the festival. So that'll be November 14, 15, and 16. This piece is dealing with, very casually, relationships between patriarchal wounds and creative practice. Some of that stuff may come up in the talk today, but if you'd really love to see and experience more, be sure to buy a ticket for the Now Festival down in the link below this video. If you would like to support the creative process for Congress, which involves myself, but also 4 other collaborators, I would so appreciate a donation or any other financial contribution from folks. You can find out how to donate in the description box below this video. You can, of course, also visit my Shopify store to purchase any of the things I have on sale there, including the dance tee, which owes its origins to Trouble. And I'll get into that a little bit later. I also have an update about the shirts that I'll save for the end of the show. But if you'd like to buy something from my store, I encourage you to. And if you'd like to schedule a divination with me, I would love to help you walk around a seemingly inscrutable issue. Whether you're an artist who's working on a project or a person who's just trying to figure out what even is happening in your life. My email address is in the description box. Please reach out to me if you'd like to schedule a session. Speaking of divinations, today's What Even, first of all, just to say, is going to last about 45 minutes. And the format's going to be a little bit different from what I've done for the first two sessions. So, as I talked about the Nutcracker from memory in the first week, I was really thinking about my childhood experiences with performance, and thinking about how I could use all of my skill sets to give dance a different kind of shape in my life. That was certainly true for last week's conversation about provision. You see some stills from provision here. And in that talk, I continued asking what it means to bring an internal experience out into the world, especially in a setting where dance is not really happening. I'm continuing to think about what it means for dance to change shape. I've really had this question, what does it mean for performers to gather on behalf of the people who witness them? And I think that's one question that was sort of around for me for the Nutcracker from memory, and then sort of in the background for provision. But when John Bertle at Human Resources asked me to do a performance early last year, a lot of the questions came back that I had around why would I perform for an audience? Why would I use movement to communicate with an audience? It was a huge question mark for me, but I'm glad I decided to take on the challenge with the team that helped me address it. This week has been a thick week for me. I don't know how else to describe it. I should have known or figured when early on in the week I was sitting out on the porch one morning and it felt like I heard an unusually large amount of bird song. It just seemed to like permeate the air, along with the smog and the marine layer situation. It felt like the animals that were around were also picking up on a certain kind of fullness. I noticed like not one, but two dogs who were waddling along the streets of the neighborhood, sort of taking their time to smell every single thing that they could. I also saw on Instagram that other people's dogs were doing the same thing. I also think of another day this week where I was on the porch and I saw these two squirrels who were skittering up a telephone line, and then they somehow caught eyes with one another and just stayed locked for what felt like minutes. And it was only after they had had their fill of looking at each other, I guess, that they decided to skitter off in other directions. It's also felt like the people I know have felt more attentive to what's around. There have been so many shows I've gone to recently, whether they're dance performances or literary readings or musical concerts. It just seems like there is a new kind of excitement for gathering that hasn't really felt present for me since before COVID. What's most interesting about that, though, is at almost every show that I've gone to, someone will come into the building at a certain point and say, hey, everybody, you have to come outside and see the moon. And so what I love is that people will actually leave this venue regardless of what they've come to see or do, and they will stand and look up at the moon. I really thought about this because on Friday night, I remember a friend pointed out the moon, and it was wonderful to see it up in the sky, shrouded by a wisp of cloud. All of these things together remind me of something I heard someone say a couple of weeks ago at a performance. Finally, it's like we have stuff to look forward to again. Oh, performance and anticipation, performance and excitement, performance and looking forward to something happening. When I started the process for trouble, like I said, there was a certain kind of hesitation I had around using my body to be present with other people as a mover and a dancer. And a lot of those questions have really unfolded for me in various ways over the last 18 months. And you can imagine I have done lots of divination to help this process reveal various things to me. So, as we get started talking about trouble today, there are two pieces of information from divinations I've done in the past 18 months that sort of bookend this process for me. The first is the star card itself. I think of this as like the emblem of trouble. Um, and the piece includes a song by Stevie Wonder called Another Star. For you, there may be another star, but on my heart can hear is your melody. At the opposite end, this is a reading I have done really recently with the I Ching. And there's one phrase from the I Ching, one phrase from one of the 64 entries in the book, which I believe is pronounced Yo Fu Ying Fu. Um, People have translated this phrase in various ways. But as I compare different translations of the I Ching, a lot of different possibilities come up. And they include some of what you'll see right here. Yo, have, be, fu, trust, confidence, sincerity, care. Ying, full, surplus. Fu, pottery, earthen vessel. So I think about all of these things together with the star. And I ask what it means for people to gather to witness performance. What do audience members expect to be held inside of when they come to see a performance? And what do performers expect to be held by when they show up to perform for other people? I want to address some of those questions in just a little bit, but I'd like to move into some video from the March 2023 performance of Trouble at Human Resources Los Angeles. Just to say, this piece that you're about to see is slightly after the opening of the show. So we start by pouring a bucket of ice into the center of a ring of chairs. We each introduce ourselves by saying our name and then making a brief statement. And then we sort of set up an extended land acknowledgement. And I'm thinking of that in a variety of scales. So we talk about the building we're in, the neighborhood that we're in, the region of the land that we're on. And then we move into a series of warm-ups together, which then unspool into the rest of the piece's action.
There once was an old woman who lived in a house with two sons. One was named Jim Boy and the other was named John. This old woman had a tendency to be cruel. By the way, this is not a story by me. Gender dynamics, I understand. But one day, this cruel old woman was feeling particularly cruel, so she asked her two sons to go down to the river and fetch water for everyone in the house. But she gave her sons a sifter, you know, like that you used to sift flour with. So there were holes in this container. She said, take this down to the river and get us water. We need water to wash and to cook and do all these things. So they went down to the river, and they dipped the sifter in over and over and over and over again until they were exhausted and they said, Mother, we cannot bring water to you. The sifter won't hold it. And in that moment, she became enraged and she transformed into a giant beast and she said, I'm going to kill both of you. And in that moment, the sons both turned into birds. And they fled into, first, the river that was by their house. And so the mother came and she said, River, I'm going to drink you up. And she drank all the water in the river. So then the two birds flew to the top of the tallest tree. And the mother said, Tree, I'm going to knock you down. And so she goes and she knocks him down. And then the two birds, they flee into a thicket of thorns and brambles. And so the mother tries to make her way into the brambles, but as she does, she gets caught on all these thorns. And the more that she tries to force herself through the thorns, they squeeze tighter and tighter and tighter until she explodes. And her blood runs out all over the ground. So, when you go to the south and you see the clay, you know why the clay is red as blood. Okay, let's wrap this up in 3, 2, 1, and pause. Thank you. Take a breath. And you all take a breath. And if you want, you can chat with the person next to you for a while. We're going to take a little beat. So we'll do that now.
But I'm going to take a breath for myself too. Um, I said this during the first session of What Even, but it's true for everything that I'll be talking about for the rest of this series. There are so many layers of activity that are present for me in all of these processes, from the deeply individual, quote unquote, to the structural, the global, the transhistorical. When I ask this question, what does it mean for performers to do on behalf of those who witness them? I'm asking that question on every level. So I'm thinking about myself and my own performance history, but also thinking more broadly about what we mean when we talk about performance and which context and how and why, and all those things. So, in order to get at some of that information, I decided to do what I love doing for other artists and for myself and pull some tarot cards. Um, this is a little bit different from what I've done in other sessions, not only because I'm using cards, but because I'd like this past work to speak to my present circumstances and also future potentials. For the first two sessions, I've mostly been looking back, and now I think is a great time to go back in order to look at the present and then also ahead at the future. Again, like I said at the very beginning, this is a service that I offer for artists, and I've met with quite a few people doing dramaturgical work with and without tarot cards. So if you are interested in having some of this work happen for one of your own projects, be sure to check out my email address in the description, and you can get in touch with me. So as we saw earlier, the card that will lead us here is the Star card. Finally, we have stuff to look forward to again, right? So I'll pull three cards. Each card will be a prompt for a brief moment of reflection on things that trouble is teaching me about, past iterations of my practice, where I am currently in my process, and what I can look forward to as this work continues. So, first card will be past reflections, second card will be present reflections, and third card will be future anticipations. So, first card is Three of Pentacles in reverse. Immediately, when I think about pentacles, I think about coins, right? Coins are related to the earth element that has a lot to do with our bodies and how we make things happen in the world. And when I see this card, especially upside down, I think of a hesitation when it comes to collaborating with other people, a certain kind of stinginess or hoarding um, in terms of resources or ideas or even like the affordances of my practice. I think one thing that's been on my mind a lot recently is that the work we do has something to offer the folks who are around us. I know for myself, when I think about movement building or cultural activism, I've often thought dance really doesn't have a place in this work. Performance is sort of a kind of entertainment compared to everything that can happen. I've also asked a lot of questions about what are my hangups as a choreographer. And I realized that in a lot of ways, I've really resisted telling other people what to do. Trouble, fun fact, was made in three rehearsals. We made and then performed this piece with three rehearsals. And though I love that way of working, I also realized for myself what would happen if I allowed myself to give more of my directorial energy to this process. Not for the sake of telling people what to do, but from the belief that I have something to share through my work, even with the people who are in the process. So, as far as this piece speaks to past iterations of my practice, trouble is something that has set me down this road of taking collaboration seriously as something to embrace. I'll go ahead and draw a second card now. And this card will help me think about trouble and its relationship to where my present process is. This card is jumping out. Ha 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 ha! This is Judgment. Judgment is one of the major arcana cards, which means it deals with life themes, major life themes. If you can see here, this is a card that represents what a lot of people might think of like not the rapture, but like the very end of the Bible, which is when God is sort of sorting people into who's eternally good and who's eternally damned. It's a card of if you're going to go to whatever this next phase is, then go. Or as the old folks say down south, piss or get off the pot, right? It's the moment where you decide what it's going to be and whether you're committing to what that is. It's really encouraging to see this card, especially on the eve of Congress, where I've had so many questions about the form that my work takes, the imperatives that I embrace as a maker, and also how I grapple with the projected expectations of others. Projection has been a huge, huge issue for me in this past 18-month period, and I've um, really been wrestling with it in some really intense ways. I think between that and just where my work and life are headed more generally, the questions of relationship and community and collaboration have really been present for me, and they've forced me to ask, what am I committing to? And what do I hope those commitments will bring me into as I continue? So, as Congress reaches its final iteration, I'm doing my best, girl, to figure out what I need to commit to, what needs more space, and what can go out the window as I move ahead with this practice. Um, I'm learning to love it because there's a lot that I have to give. There's a lot that I look forward to sharing, and I'm willing to go into the scary, shadowy darkness of it all in order to make this happen. I'll go ahead and pull one last card. And this card will speak to troubles, implications for my practice in the future. Again, if you'd like to schedule a divination session with me, feel free to scroll down to beneath this video and find my email address in the description box, and I would love to talk to you about setting up a session. So, I'll look at the bottom of the deck to find our last card, which is, Four of Pentacles reversed. Four of Pentacles reversed. Just looking at the card, there are two things that come to me off the top of my head. The first, if you can see, is that this figure, if you turn it right side up, is holding on to these coins for dear life. And we just talked about stinginess with the Three of Pentacles reversed. So when we look at it upside down, I think there are two things that this card asks. One is, girl, why are you holding on so tight? Why are you holding on so tight? Often when cards are reversed, they show up as questions, question marks. So why are you holding on so tight? But also, like, it's okay to let go. Not only is it okay to share, and not only is it okay to invite others, it's okay to be okay with what you have. It's okay to be okay with what you have. I'm thinking back to Yo Fu Ying Fo, the idea of being or having a surplus, a fullness that overflows this vessel. I also think of Psalm 23 in the verse that says, "You prepare a table for me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, and my cup runs over." Um, there are moments where it's okay to look at what you're doing, to look at your practice, to look at your life, to look at your relationships, and to say, I could change this in a million ways. I could want this person to be like this. I could want this show to make people feel this thing. I really want to present in this venue or have these things published in this place, or I feel like I should be selling more, da 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 da. But maybe like I'm good for now. Maybe I will be okay if I allow myself to continue in what I know is true for me. Okay does not mean feeling great all the time. It does not mean feeling perfectly satisfied, but it does mean uh, perhaps you won't die if you don't get all the things you think you want or need. So I love that for me as I continue in this process for Congress. And I love sharing that good news with other people. As I said in an earlier iteration of Congress in June, um, the body you have is the body you have, and perhaps that can be okay. One closing piece of advice or wisdom that trouble has to offer. The piece that was made in 3 days with a very small budget, but a great team. We'll go ahead and draw one last card for one last piece of advice for this piece. And this card will be, Three of Wands reversed. We're loving the reversals today. I love seeing the wands because this leads into the very last thing we'll do today. But when I think of Three of Wands in reversal, um, what comes to mind is that your convictions are worth investing in. Three is a number that has to do with a certain sense of completeness or solidity, realizing something for oneself before moving out into the world. And the wands are related to fire, right? So creative or erotic energy. In reversal, I think this figure, though they look like they're moving ahead, they've decided to stay where they are for the time being. They've decided to stay where they are for the time being. I think part of learning to be okay with where we are in our practice is understanding that our convictions, our interests, our obsessions, our um, commitments as makers, they were gifted to us for a reason. And they love to be remembered. They love to be honored. They love to be cherished and centered in our work, even as all these other influences battle for our loyalty and attention. So returning to our convictions and honoring them is a sure way to feel rooted and grounded in the work that you do. Along those lines, I want to offer a closing question. Each session of What Even offers a question. There are 4 questions that I'm using to guide myself and the cast of Congress as we move through the project. And I would love to share the third of those 4 questions with you today. I encourage you to screenshot this, to write this down, and to use it as a journaling prompt. We'll spend a little bit of free time here just to pause and sit with the question if you'd like to jot some initial notes before we head out for today. So, the first question from week 1 is, what's a present situation you can't know your way out of? The question from last week is, what yearning does that situation set ablaze? in you. And the follow-up question for this week is, as this flame burns, as that situation sets something ablaze in you, as this flame burns, what does it remove and what does it illuminate? What does this flame remove and what does it illuminate? I'll leave 3 minutes now for people to sit and pause, either to meditate or to begin writing some thoughts down. But I'll call us back together when those 3 minutes are done. Our time starts now. And go ahead and find a place to pause for now. Once you do, go ahead and take a breath for yourself. And I definitely encourage you to return to this and all of the questions in this video as you have time. That is all I have to say about trouble for now. Of course, there's tons more to say, but I am so honored that I got to share some about this piece with you all. I see that Arushi is here today, so I'm so glad you got to make it, Arushi, in the video that y'all just saw. Next week, you know what? I'm trying to decide what I'd like to do next week. I think we're gonna do the next session at this same time, Sunday, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I think I'm gonna talk about the WASP project, but I'm trying to decide if I want to talk about the WASP project by itself, or if I want to talk about the WASP project in relationship to other failed projects that I've done. We'll find out together next week, but just know that we'll be meeting here, same place, same time, Um, so glad y'all could make it over to this channel. While I'm thinking about trouble, I mentioned the dance tees. If you would like a dance tee, they are available in my shop on Shopify. The waves, the Sharpie waves, are disappearing at the end of this month. So if you would like a shirt with the hand-drawn element, please order it by November 1st because they will be leaving the shop soon. Um, Also, if you are not subscribed to my newsletter, I would love it if you subscribed. We are just shy of 200 subscribers, and I'm super excited. So, if you'd like to get us over the line, please find the link in the description box below. And stay tuned about Congress and so many other things that are moving through my life. Until next week, I hope that y'all enjoy the rest of your week, enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Take a breath and remember that sometimes it is okay to be all right with what you have. And then sometimes it's not, but sometimes it is. That's it for now. I'll see y'all soon. Bye.